everybody! I'm coming to you live from my bedroom in Sri Lanka, spotting the mozzie net that I'm outside of, so I really hope I don't get eaten alive. But welcome to my YouTube channel. Whoa, we've made it. I have been so excited, but also resisting making this, because when you're moving around and staying in hostels and in India and really loud countries, it's quite hard to record stuff like this. So let's give it a go. If you don't know me, my name is Ellen. I'm solo traveling the last 9 months, and right now I'm in Sri Lanka. I'm so excited that you've clicked on this video and be here to listen to my real, raw and chaotic experiences that have led me to where I am right now. I've never felt more myself than I do now. So I want to use this YouTube to share my experiences and hopefully inspire people to step outside their comfort zone, take risks, be vulnerable, talk about things that are uncomfortable, use your fucking voice, speak what do you want and name it. And by me sharing my highs and my lows and how I overcame them, totally opening up the curtains to my life, and I really feel called to share these things and be the one to just not give a people think of me, like friends, family, strangers. I don't think a lot of people understand me, and that's okay, because I know that I am literally following in the footsteps that God wants me to, and it's led me to this YouTube. So the next few videos are going to be about looking back at the person that I was a year ago to the person I am today, and specifically focusing on toxic, parasitic, is that a word, parasitic? My parasitic mind. I refer to it as a parasite, this issue that I had with my mind that I'll tell you more about. Talking about my lack of stability, my insecurities, my lack of self-love, and how that was manifesting in really anxious attachments with friendships and obsessions and crushes on random people. And I'm going to take you on a journey of the person that I am today. Switched my mindset to living so deeply in the present, loving myself so much and being more and more myself every day, which in return has just attracted the most psychedelic, intimate experiences with friendships. But this is mainly to talk about sexual relationships. And just to mention that if you follow me on my Instagram, you'll know that I post all about my life, real, unfiltered, and it triggers a lot of people. Some may think it's oversharing. Sometimes I even think it's oversharing. But in hindsight, I know by me being vulnerable and by me speaking openly and talking about loads of different topics will actually have a butterfly effect. So if I have to open this door of talking about things that may have stigma or shame, or things that society probably doesn't want us to talk about, let alone talk about in public, then I'm happy to be the one to do it. I'm going to take you back to May 2023 to May 2023, when I lost my dog, Wally. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. He was my baby of 8 years, and when he died, I realized I had never been actually alone in 8 years. He came hiking with me, he slept in my sleeping bag, he lived with me in college. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever moved through in my life. Completely shaped me as a person. What I wasn't expecting him to leave was this huge hole of loneliness, which completely opened up so many wounds and insecurities. A fear of abandonment. I was feeling so anxious. So I developed this really anxious attachment with friends. I got really jealous and felt super annoyed at friends if they made new friends, if they were hanging out with other friends. I was just like not wanting to share because of like how lonely that I felt. I was like, there's not enough of you to go around, like I need all of your attention. I'd be looking at strangers and be so jealous of their relationships. I was like craving this like physical touch and this intimacy, and intimacy being like this emotional connection, this soul connection. It doesn't always have to be physical touch, and intimacy definitely doesn't mean sexual. Can of course include sexual relations, but it doesn't mean that and that alone. It was scary because I'm super aware of things and myself, so whatever about feeling all these things, I was so aware that I was feeling these things and knew that I didn't want to feel these things. I knew that it was not wrong, but it was just not something that I wanted to experience. I wanted to feel. I didn't want to go on feeling jealous or envious of like strangers. I didn't want to feel this loneliness and feel like anxiously attached to any of my friends, because the real me is so independent, and so free, and I value that in my own being. So for me to like suddenly be relying on people, it was like so out of my character. Anyways, fast forward to figuring out where my loneliness and my jealousy came from. I figured out it was literally because I was heartbroken. Of course I was heartbroken. So when I figured that out, I had so much compassion for myself, and the jealousy actually went away. I was like, I'm actually just a heartbroken little girl that's lost their child. So when I had that compassion for myself, I could move past that. But then it started to show up in other ways, where I actively like looking for things outside of myself to make me happy. And because I was craving that intimacy, it was obviously in relationship partners, like man or woman. I call it now the parasite that lived in my mind, because I can't explain it in any other way, because it just wasn't me. It's funny because everywhere else in my journey, like my self-healing journey, my spiritual journey, I've been like leveling up in my opinion, and evolving in like all these other areas. So to be at this place where I was like, how am I back here again? I felt like I learned and moved past, and when I was like 16, 17 was showing up again. So the parasite. I was crushing on this guy for 9 months. For the first few months, I don't think it was as intense. Like, it was like friendship. I knew I fancied him, but I was okay with whatever it was at the time, friendship. But then like I noticed as the months went on, I began to like him more. And during this time, I don't know, I'm assuming this is normal. However, if I like someone now this much, I guess I would just tell them, or it would be a conversation that would naturally happen. I'd be like overthinking every conversation that we had. I'd be like looking into every small detail in our conversation, like, is that a sign that he likes me, and all these things. And it was like an addiction, like it was like a drug. I was like, not that I wanted more of him, it was like a drug, nearly not knowing, and it was like playful and a game and fun. But at somewhere along the line, it started to really take over my life, where all I could think of was, what if, like, fantasy after fantasy. I wasn't even living in this world. I was just like constantly in fantasy land, in future. And then I'd bring it back to, oh no, of course, he wouldn't like me because of like this and this about me. So it was like this huge huge lack of self-love, and like being like, of course he wouldn't like me because it's me, so it was like faced with huge fantasy and wonder and hope, and like one minute I'm like, yeah, of course, because I'm so amazing, and I genuinely could see that. But then when nothing would happen, it would send me on a spiral and being like, sure, like, I'm not worthy of love, like, comparing me and him, and just seeing that, like, oh, he could do way better than me. And it was just like this huge roller coaster of like actually seeing my worth, and then fantasizing, and then going down a spiral when nothing would happen. And this was like on repeat for months and months and months. And because I felt like there was mixed signals, or again, that was maybe just me overthinking friendliness and kindness and friendship, I was so fucking frustrated. I'd spend so much of my day fantasizing what a life would be like, fantasizing about a conversation we had, and like if that conversation had went further, like things that would never even happen. Chaos in my mind. I wasn't fantasizing because I wanted to. I couldn't help it. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I couldn't detach from this. I was even asking for signs from God, and like being like, show me a yellow car if he likes me, and then I wouldn't see a yellow car, and then I'd be like, show me a yellow car if he doesn't like me, and then I'd see a yellow car, and I still wouldn't trust that. I just couldn't detach from it. It was so toxic and frustrating and upsetting, and I actually felt sick in the sense that like, why can I not detach from this? Like, that's why I call it a parasite. It was like something that was attached to me, and I couldn't let go of it. I remember some like really dark days where like I would have so much to do, work to do. I'd have like people I'd want to see, would just like isolate myself and fantasize. And there was a point where I just, honestly, it was like an illness. I was like, why is this happening to me? Why can't I let this go? Why can't I heal from this? Like at this point, it was 9 months. I knew didn't see me that way, but like I would still hold out hope that he did. And I remember just crying and crying and crying to my sister, being like, I want to stop thinking about this. I want this to be gone. Like, I don't want to care about this anymore. Like, this isn't something that, at this point, like, I could even see that me and this person weren't even meant for each other, but I just couldn't detach from it. And at this point, me and the person were actually really good friends. And I woke up one day and I was like, I know he doesn't like me, but I just need to trick my mind. And I tricked my mind by telling him, I was like, look, if I'm completely honest with you, I've liked you for this amount of time. I know you don't like me back. Can you just tell me you don't like me so my fantasies can end? So I can have control over my thoughts again. And so he did, like rejection therapy put into practice. Like I knew he was going to reject me, and that's exactly what I needed. And at that point I just wanted him to reject me so I could get that parasite away from me. Oh, it was crazy. That like relieved me of all symptoms and illness, and I didn't even like him after then. It was like that, which just goes to show they weren't even true feelings. It was just like thing that honestly, this thing that was attached to me. And I know for some people that might sound crazy because like obviously it was me and it's not like an entity attached to me. Like obviously it was my wounding that was and my heartbreak and like all these things that were creating this. But it was just crazy to witness the rejection therapy, and like the next day I was high on life. I was like, I'm free of this, do you know? So it was wild. And then very soon later I went traveling. So rejection therapy was a short-term fix and it helped at the time, but little did I know was it going to keep showing up again and again and again, because it just went so much deeper than that. But I guess also it was showing me like where I need to communicate my needs and like value myself so much that I wouldn't even allow myself go through that torture, to just name it there and then, like this is what I feel. Is it reciprocated? No. Okay, no problem. And like not even let it get to the 9 months. So yeah, that takes me to my dating addiction in Morocco. It's hilarious because a week before I was going traveling long term, I had no idea where I wanted to go. I just was it was coming into summer and I was like actually feeling winter energy. I didn't want to socialize, didn't want to do anything, just wanted to like go chill and be in solitude somewhere and just be with myself, and like, because I was aware that like there was so much work that I needed to do, so I was like, let's just get stuck in. And I had gone to Morocco the December before, which was the trip that made me want to travel long term. So when I wasn't inspired, I was like, let's just go back to Morocco and start from there. And that's when my dating addiction started in Morocco. But I'll keep that for the next video. So follow along for more. Press subscribe, and thanks for listening if you got this far. Bye!